This week on the Sunday Glide, we'll discuss winning the WSL Trials event to qualify for the first event in the World Longboard Tour. We'll then go for a surf and finish with our segment Tip Time, where we take a deep dive into your questions. Okay, so I just wanted to start off the edit by, discussing a little bit about the contest. So obviously, as per the title of this video, I had a contest up in Port Stephens, New South Wales. It was a WSL Trials event, so essentially the competitors in this, if you're placed in the top two, then you'd get wildcarded through to the first stop of the World Longboard Tour, which is going to be in Manly, which is near Sydney in Australia. I put a fair bit on the line for this one. I pulled out of Mexico, the contest there, so that I could go to this event, just because it was a really tough decision to make. A bit annoyed that I couldn't go to Mexico, obviously, because that's always such a great contest and a great experience. But I think that this aligned a bit better with my goals, with trying to get on the WSL and everything like that. It's really tricky to find any sort of qualification methods for the WSL Longboard Tour at the moment. So as soon as this opportunity came along, which was fairly last minute, I just decided to take it. I think there was maybe 32 competitors or something that's what they opened it up for. And we had pretty tricky conditions actually. So we're at a place called Berrubi Beach. The waves were quite sucky and they were just very steep. Beach break sort of waves. Reminded me quite a lot of the contest I had in Noosa when it was held at Sunrise Beach actually, just the way that the waves stood up, and they were quite fast and pitchy. Especially with some of the judging, it was difficult to know exactly what they wanted, but it looked like in the end everyone was kind of figuring it out, and we were able to just keep everything super critical, and that's what they were scoring. And so I just tried to, of course, as you always have to in a contest, steer your surfing towards what the judges are asking for. Just trying to make sure that everything was super critical. The final was a bit of a nail biter. So I was leading, and then towards the end of the final, there was a set that came through. It was probably the biggest set that came through the entire final, and everyone got a wave. And so 2 waves were caught before the siren that actually put me back into 3rd place. Not that I didn't know this, because I caught the wave afterwards, and then really happy I got a 7.9 on the wave, on my last wave, which actually put me back into 1st. So that was pretty brutal, but that's how competitions run. You try and do everything you can with regards to strategy, and doesn't always work out the way that you want it to, but luckily had the waves come my way for this one, and I really felt like I was able to produce my best surfing out there, which I was super stoked with. I'm really happy that I won. I almost can't believe it to a certain extent, but I'm super stoked that I took the risk and I did the contest. Now we'll be stepping through to the first World Tour event in Manly, which is something I'm extremely excited about. It's going to be the top 10 from last year in the World Longboard Tour, and then a few wildcards that come through with that. So that'll be fantastic. And I've been working on this for a little while now. I've been working a lot on just my heat strategy and everything like that as well. I'm really glad that it's all paid off to a certain extent, and hopefully I can take this momentum through to the next event in Manly, which is going to be epic. The contest in Manly is running from the 16th to the 24th of May. And if you do want to follow along, it'll be on all the WSL broadcasting. So it's actually running with the Challenger Series as well. So I think it's the first Challenger Series event that they're doing. It'll be available on wherever they run at WSL, Facebook, YouTube, KO, all of those places. So really excited for that. I'm going to try and head up there a couple days before it starts, get a few waves at Manly, just get used to the break. And try and do as well as I can. Bit of training over the next couple of weeks as well, which I've got coming up in this edit as well, just some things that I'm focusing on. So couldn't be more stoked, can't wait to move on to Manly. Gonna go out surfing now. Just rocked up at the beach. There's some little waves. It's pretty windy, but should be a couple out there anyway. Got back from the trials event, the WSL event in Port Stephens like a day ago. The first surf I've had since coming back. And so figured to get out there. At the moment, I think we'll go out there and we'll just try and catch a couple. And just, it is pretty tricky conditions out there, so making sure that, you know, I'm just surfing comfortably and reliably. I think that's the biggest thing I'm focusing on at the moment. Not adding too much new to my surfing, but just making sure that I'm confident with what I'm doing, and that I can, yeah, execute, you know, this sort of surfing I need to when I need to. I think that's what really helped in Port Stephens, so the contest I was just at. So I'll see how that goes. I'll try and stick to the plan, but you know, when you get out in the water, it doesn't always end up working that way. So we'll see how we go. It should be a little bit of fun. Won't go out for too long. Yeah, I'll bring the GoPro out and we'll see how we go. So that was actually a lot trickier than I thought it'd be, but there was still a couple out there. I guess I got a couple that, you know, were able to make through to the beach. Got a couple of quick nose rides in, but yeah, not a whole heap. I think the next segment that we'll go to is tip time, so yeah, let's get through to that. Something that I did want to speak about really briefly was over the past, couple of months, having been invited to a few contests, with all the flights and accommodation and things like that, it can be a little bit tricky, and just having to pick and choose a little bit as to which comps I'm going to, which is fine. And I guess I've just been trying to come up with a few more creative ways to, drum up some funds for the travels and the expenses there. I was thinking about having creating maybe some more merchandise, shirts, jackets, mugs, stickers, things like that. That could be sent around the Sunday Glide or the Glide. This is what I'll be doing a little bit on over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I thought this might be a good way if you did want to support both me going to the events and I suppose the channel as well. Then this could be a good way to do that, so that you're getting something sick in return. So I'm really excited about trying to get this out to you guys for whoever would like it. It's absolutely only for anyone who would like some of this sort of stuff and does want to support. There's no pressure or no stress at all. Either way, I hope that you're enjoying the Sunday glide regardless. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone who does watch and everything like that. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated with all of that, and there'll be some links in the description below for when all of that is up and running. But you know, I've just been speaking to some people about how to get that started, and then yeah, also how to just organize this and get them produced. If that's something you're interested in, just send me a message over Instagram, or a DM there or something like that. I'd be happy to have a chat with you about it. But yeah, it's something I'm pretty excited about, and I think could be a cool thing to start. We'll run through our segment Tip Time now. So we've got a really good question this week, and it's from Andrew. And what Andrew's asked is when he's walking backwards from the nose to the tail, so cross-stepping backwards and then getting himself positioned on the tail to do a cutback. Sometimes on that process of cross-stepping backwards, he finds that the board's shooting in front of him and he's falling backwards. And so he's asked for any tips there. Also, he said that he's riding a 3-fin, so thruster, in a high-performance longboard setup. So I think this is a really good question, and I will start with the fact that he is riding a high-performance board, because it's really important to know how the boards react when you do step onto the tail. So I suppose on a log, on a single-fin heavy longboard, when we step onto the tail, we don't get as much acceleration as we do off a 3-fin or a 2+1 or a thruster setup on the high-performance board. So as soon as you press down on the tail for those boards, and especially with the sharp rails, there will be some acceleration that occurs. And so this is, I like to use the analogy of when you're first riding a motorbike and you get the motorbike cranking and you accelerate and you go backwards and the bike goes forwards. The exact same thing happens here. So as our momentum or our weight is being shifted backwards onto the tail of the board actually accelerates, and so we're not matching the speed, or we're not able to maintain our weight and our base of support over the board. And so yeah, we go one way, the board goes the other. Now this can happen on a log as well. It's just less significant, and it doesn't occur as much or to the same extent. Now, what I would really like to emphasize for this one is making sure that as we're cross-stepping backwards, that we do come into a nice grounded base of support. So that'll look like chest over front knee, and having quite a wide stance. And this is to sort of counteract what will be happening if we are falling backwards. 9 times out of 10, if we're falling backwards from the tail off a cross step coming backwards, our legs are going to be straight. We're going to have a narrow base of support, and so this is just going to create a very, very unbalanced position for the board to shoot forwards and for us to fall backwards. If we have our weight forwards and we have a nice bend in our knees and we're staying nice and low, then what we're going to do is we're going to increase our stability. We're going to be reducing some of the weight on the tail, so we're not going to be accelerating so fast when we do come back towards the tail, because again, our weight's forwards over that front foot, and so that will give us a really good starting position. So what you can think about doing here is step 1, essentially cross-stepping backwards, and as you come towards the tail, so those final steps towards the tail, instead of planting your weight firmly on the back foot over the fins to begin with, have your chest forward and have the majority of your weight over the front foot. And then what you can do once you're secure and supported in that position, you feel nice and balanced, then you can slowly bring your weight onto the back foot, and that's when we can execute our turn. So we don't need 100% of our weight on the back foot to make a turn happen necessarily. Depending on how slow, fast, big or small the wave is, we need different amounts of weight filtered onto the back foot. But what we do need to do is slowly bring weight onto that back foot so that we can gauge how much pressure we do need to put on. This position that I'm speaking about here is very similar to the step and reset method that I went through and demonstrated in the Sunday Glide 72. So if you haven't checked that out, that might be a good reference point to touch back on. As you get better at this, obviously, we can then have a really good gauge of how the board's feeling when we do cross step backwards and then land on the tail, and so as you get more comfortable, you can just place weight straight onto that back foot or the tail, because you know how the board's going to react as you begin and commence that turn and start to create that turn happening. But yeah, before that, I really do recommend always coming into a nice fundamental surfing position, so chest over front knee, staying low, and then filtering that weight onto the back foot. I hope that helps. If anyone has any questions about that, please just let me know. I'm happy to talk through that some more in the comment section below. And that being said, if anyone has any other questions for next week's segment of Tip Time, leave them in the comment section below as well, and we'll run through those next week. I think that's it for today's edit, so hope you're all getting waves, and we'll catch you in the next one.